So just a general comment, first of all, that I think it is unfortunate that the discussion happens in the context of the horse having bolted, with the Minister and the Government having taken the decision to effectively return to what looks like a two-tier health service combined with a supercharged NTPF. Looks like where they're going, and it seems to be suggesting that it's not okay to treat people according to wealth when they have the coronavirus, but it's okay to do so when they have cancer, heart disease or depression. And I think instead of going backwards, we should have been going forwards to a national one-tier public health service. But just on the details of the deal with the private hospitals, which I was a critic of, I thought it looked like it was extremely expensive. Question for Mr. Varley. I mean, I agree when you say that it represents very poor value for money. My question is, your basis of that is primarily based on usage, i.e. there's huge amounts of excess capacity, we're only using X number of beds, therefore it's very expensive per bed used. But according to the figures published in Britain in relation to the deal between the British government or the NHS and private hospitals in Britain, even on a per bed basis, regardless of usage, the deal also looks very expensive. So the average cost per Britain per bed is about €10,000 per month, whereas in Ireland it's about €44,000 per month. I wonder, do you have any insight into why the deal on a per bed basis appears to be so expensive?
I don't have full detail on that, but I do recall commentary on it at the time in the early stages, and my understanding, and this is subject to verification, is that the agreement entered into with the private hospitals in the UK and in Britain effectively allowed more flexibility in terms of what was being purchased and taken over, so to speak, such that the private hospital deal in the UK allowed the possibility for capacity that wasn't required to be used to treat the patients in those hospitals that would otherwise require urgent care. So that in some respects would actually account for the fact in the UK they were probably, and I stress probably because I don't have all the detail, paying for what capacity they sought, but had not been all of the capacity in the hospital, or else the capacity being used. Whereas I think in the private hospital agreement here, it was covering all the capacity. And that's the sort of detail that actually becomes problematic in trying to optimise the capacity and getting good use of it.
Just to follow up on that, I mean, I've been trying to get access to both the April costs provided by the private hospitals and a full breakdown of the costs from the government, and they're refusing to give any of the figures, which makes it very difficult for us as public representatives and the public in general to make a decision on whether it's good value for money or bad value for money, because we don't have any figures to go on. Would you agree that we need to have more transparency in terms of the costs, the deal, etc., so that people can make an informed judgment about it?
I think in particular in circumstances like this, transparency is hugely important, so I can only agree with your suggestion.
Thanks a lot. Just quickly to the IMO, any comments on that? In particular, I just do note your comments about the NTPF, and it does seem to me that that's what the government is gearing up for, is like a more extreme NTPF and all the inequalities and so on that go from that.
I suppose our position really would have been that it was premature to abandon this deal before there was a proper roadmap to reopening the service for public patients as well, because their lives matter too. And I mean, people talk about a second surge and what might happen. They say, oh, well, you know, we could have hundreds of people lying on the trolleys, we could have overburdened ICU capacity, you know, we could have operating theatres closed for a month. That's January in the Irish Health Service every year, and what could be coming if we don't address it could be apocalyptic. Now, we need to find a solution for it, and if we're saying that the NTPF might be the solution, then we're going to need to use the NTPF in a way that we've never used it before, and we'd better get started with it. I suppose Deputy Shortall made the suggestion about possibly, you know, putting some of this on a more permanent capacity, and that's another option. But whichever we do, you know, we need to get about it fairly quickly.
Thank you, Dr. O'Connor, and thank you, Deputy Murphy.